Welcome out, ladies and gentlemen, to this RGL.GG matchup. And tonight, there is one question on everybody's mind. Can the Giant be slain? Froyotech, led by Banny, is undoubtedly one of the strongest teams to ever have played the game. Teams have drawn blood against Froyotech, having won rounds against them, but no team has beaten them so far. VoxDei eSports has looked great all season, and they've only gotten better as the weeks have gone on, but now they will face the ultimate challenge. Can David slay Goliath? Will VoxDei be able to take down the king? Or will Froyotech reign supreme? Find out tonight. I am sigafoo, joined out here with Nice behind the scenes, and Rogue to my side. How you doing out here, Rogue?
I am fantastic, sigafoo. I just a handful of hours ago got my wisdom teeth pulled, but by some miracle, I am doing perfectly fine and super excited to watch this game. Maybe I'm just motivated and excited because I think it's going to be a real great match.
Well, hopefully you don't pass out or start mumbling strange things or claiming of people biting fingers, but it should be a great match as we can just jump straight away into the pick bans. As you can already see here, VoxDei eSports is going to be the away team for Viaduct, which is the first map we're going to be playing. The way pick bans works is any weapon that is banned cannot be used by either team. Any weapon that is saved can be used by either team. Machina is the only weapon which is banned by default, so all other weapons are up to be banned or to be saved. And you can see here VoxDei coming out early on, taking away the Dragon's Fury, and Froyotech taking away the Darwin's Danger Shield. Some interesting selections so far. This is very unconventional for first picks that we've seen so far this season.
I'm very interested by these picks. Maybe they're waiting to feel each other out or take things slowly. Now VoxDei coming with the score shot as well, banning 2 pyro weapons. The Dragon's Fury does put out a lot of damage, so I would bet most teams don't want to play against that either way. But even then, Froyotech banning the Danger Shield, but they have Boron Sniper. The Danger Shield's annoying, but, I would say the Sniper Edge maybe goes to Bor over Andrew, so it's a pretty okay pick from Froyotech, but I'd say their resources could be used a little better,
Yeah, it'll be curious, Diamondback going down, that makes sense. So you can kind of see here, VoxDei eSports going after the Pyro. I think one of the reasons that they're going after the Pyro is Froyotech run Eric as their flex player, and he does like to go Pyro. He's very good at it. I mean, Engineer and Pyro are his 2 main classes, and so you can see VoxDei, they're coming out, they're going straight for the Pyro. That is their main focus, which is different than what they did during their last game. This is what I love to see, is when you can see teams over the course of multiple games and how they attack different teams. Darwin Danger Shield going down, so it makes it so the Pyro could be effective, but removing the Detonator and Scorch Shot kind of makes it so that the Pyro can't be effective. The Darwin's Danger Shield's kind of useless. I love these kind of counter picks and picks back and forth from VoxDei and Froyotech.
And especially considering the different players on each side, Vipa is a renowned high platinum spy over the past couple of years, so I definitely understand the Diamondback ban. Now we have the Wrangler ban coming out of Froyotech as well. Again, Sixes players typically get a little bit annoyed by having to deal with engineers, and the Wrangler always makes it a lot tougher to take out those sentry guns when it gets that shield, so that is a pretty strong ban coming out, especially given our maps coming up where we have Viaduct and Upward. Those Wrangler plays can do a lot of work.
Yeah, especially with Eric on Engineer. I mean, some people are questioning about the Detonator ban. The reason why the Detonator and Scorch Shot got taken out is because if Froyotech run a Pyro with Detonator Scorch Shot, he can just focus down the enemy Sniper, and Sniper is one of the most powerful classes in the game. And if you can make this enemy Sniper, start on fire, because they removed the Danger Shield, right? So he's no longer, there's nothing he can do to be immune to that fire. So if you can start him on fire, you're going to make his aim be tilted. It's going to be a little bit harder, and so it's going to help out your team ultimately to be able to do that. It's going to give you that sniper advantage, because if the enemy team sniper is on fire and yours isn't, that's going to help you out. And so that's why you can see that VoxDei eSports went after the Pyro's secondary weapons, is to actually help out their sniper, ultimately is the reason why they did that. And you can see VoxDei saving the short circuit, which I think is interesting, because they don't typically run an Engineer.
It's very funny, too, coming off the back of the direct hit save by Froyotech. So normally the direct hit is saved to focus down sentry guns because it takes, a couple less rockets, it goes down a lot faster. But saving the short circuit will mitigate a lot of that spam coming in. So I agree, it's an interesting play, especially given the Wrangler's already banned. Not sure how much Engineer you're going to be playing on. But again, with us coming up to Upward in a full best of 3, the Engineer could play a pretty strong role.
Deadrigger going down. Again, Froyotech, they don't run a lot of Spy. Eric, when he does run Spy, it tends to be very, very quick, invisible Spy. We saw yesterday that Viper was doing a good job. He did use a Diamondback. The Deadringer, since the nerf, hasn't seen a lot of play, but, it still can be potentially useful. But I don't think it, I think the Cloak and Dagger might have been a better ban because, in these matchups, you really want to have that ability to have that time to be able to set up your frag. The Deadringer is not as viable as it was to spam it anymore. It takes a lot of finesse, and I don't think a lot of players use it as much just because it's so difficult to use well. But you can see VoxDei banning the Kritzkrieg, which is something that they typically done, and I think it just shows you that maybe they don't have as much trust in their ability to output damage, and so they take down the Kritzkrieg, and Froyotech responding, though, with the Natasha.
The Natasha always shuts down scouts and jumpers and things like that, so a very solid ban coming out of Froyotech to make sure that their players have a lot of free range and are well and protected. Sometimes these Sixes teams, I like when they save the gunboats because, it always helps the soldiers be able to jump around and have that mobility. But now, also on the side of VoxDei, we have a ban of the Iron Bomber. So that's going to help their players stay a little bit more alive, especially going against these very hard-hitting demo men. And on a map like Viaduct, where demo man is just so strong. And now, just a reminder to everyone, stock weapons cannot be banned, so we're only banning unlocks. And it's interesting to see, Froyotech going into, going all across the board, trying to ban against different classes and into different classes. So what do you make of it, sigafoo?
It really just seems like you can kind of see what VoxDei was doing early on. VoxDei, most teams kind of go after, they have classes that they don't typically play. Pyro and Engineer are ones that VoxDei does not touch very much. But going after the Pyro, just shows you that they're not as confident with it. And when Vipa does run it, he does just tend to be WM1 Pyro. He kind of just walks forward into the enemy team with it. So it'll be curious to see, kind of who will come out on top when it comes to these picks. But, one thing that is not banned, and I bet you we will see, is the bonk. And this is something that banning, even after the nerf, the bonk is still pretty effective, and it can really create, because what the bonk does is it forces you to have to split your focus. If Banny gets behind you with bonk, like, game over. You now have to deal with one of the best scouts in the world being behind you while the enemy team's pushing into you. Good luck. I'm kind of curious to see if Banny uses that. I think that's one thing that VoxDei might have missed the boat on. Not banning the bonk against Banny because he loves to use it.
Yeah, well, it's going to be interesting to see because, if Banny gets behind, you can't even commit one player. It's Banny, so you have to commit 2 players to turn around to be out of the fight so your team's fighting a 5v6, or you leave him back there and probably drop 2 players anyway. So your hands are kind of tied, and there's not really too much you can do with that situation. So they're going to maybe have to get a little creative or maybe play in one of those death ball setups, on the side of VoxDei just to make sure that they don't drop too many players. And don't forget, Viaduct is a small map. There's a lot of verticality to it. So Banny can be jumping all around this map, especially being followed up by Blaze. So it's going to be interesting to see how Froyotech are able to how Froyotech are going to be pushing into VoxDei here.
I'll be curious. The big thing, I think, this map, it's going to be hard-pressed to believe that Froyotech won't win Viaduct. They won't be able to just out-DM VoxDei eSports. But let's switch over a little bit here, and let's talk about the rosters tonight. And let me pull that up here. As currently on VoxDei eSports, they have been running pretty much a very consistent roster. Jarrett typically on demo, Carl typically on heavy, Andrew their sniper, Marmaloo soldier, Skis is going to be their medic, Vipa is their flex class. He's a spy main by tradition, but he's been doing a good job of moving around between Pyro and Engineer as needed, and Shamu on Scout, who is a slippery man, very smart. The thing I like about Shamu as a player is he tends to play very intelligently. And going over to the Froyotech side, we got Banny, who should be playing Scout, Eric, who's their flex player, Habib should be on Demo Man, Sai, I'm not exactly sure what he's going to be playing tonight. Cookie Jake is going to be, Sai I guess would be their scout, or not their scout. Sai would be usually their other kind of flex player, probably on heavy, Cookie Jake on medic, Boar on sniper, and Blaze on soldier. And just talking over those Froyotechs, I want you to talk about a couple of the players who stand out from you on Froyotech, if you can choose just a couple.
Right off the bat, the flank team of Banny and Blaze, especially on a map like Viaduct, you have to mention them first. So those go a little bit without saying, but past there, I'm absolutely looking at Boar as the third player on this team. Going up against Velocity, there are a lot of Highlander veterans on the side of Velocity, Sixes players on Froyo, but Boar is the one kind of supporting them and giving them, first of all, that full-time sniper that Sixes players don't always have, and Boar bringing in the very, very solid, very high platinum sniping abilities. So I'm definitely looking at Boar to open things up, especially on maybe the payload upcoming that Froyotech aren't as prepared for.
Yeah, and for anybody who's not familiar, we are going to be playing a best of 3 match tonight. That means we'll be playing up to 3 different maps, but at least 2. We're going to be starting out on Viaduct. It's going to be a first to 3 or a best of 5, whatever you want to call it, on Viaduct. So the first team to 3 round wins, they will win that map. Then we will be moving on to Upward, and that will be a best of 3 series as well. So the first team to 2 round wins will win that series, and if needed, we will go to Borneo, and that will be just a best of 1. It'll be a quick ender there, but it's really just a question. I mean, this map was chosen by Froyotech. They looked very dominant of it. They've looked very dominant in it last season. And I wouldn't be surprised, but to be fair, this is it's really going to be a question of their snipers and how much harassment Velocity can get on it. You know, I imagine that we're going to see Viper running a lot of Spy, and I'm curious to see, is he going to be able to take down Boar? Because one of the things is the Razorback actually wasn't banned, and I'm kind of surprised by that now that more I think about this, because Velocity is the one who runs Spy, and now Boar's going to be able to wear a Razorback and not be touched by the enemy Spy if he becomes a nuisance.
Right, and you also have to consider, even with the Razorback, now that you don't get the health, that's always really rough for snipers, because if you don't have that 185, any headshot you take or any body shot you take is going to be a kill when it's coming from the enemy sniper. So seeing this little dance back and forth between these two teams, this romance between Viper and Boar that has been quite the spectacle for the past few years, it's going to be really wonderful to see what each of them are able to pull out of their sleeves and how they're able to adapt and move forward.
And it'll be kind of one of those questions, as we do have 14 live in the server, so we should be going live here fairly shortly in the next couple minutes, as these teams are just getting mentally prepped up here. But this is Viaduct Pro. For anybody who's not familiar, why don't you talk a little bit about some of the differences that you'll see on Viaduct Pro compared to the original version of Viaduct?
Well, first of all, you'll notice that it is summertime here on Viaduct, so all the snow's gone. I would say the biggest change from Viaduct Pro to regular Viaduct is the connector on the concrete side. Normally it's just a solid wall, but here now you have this little doorway that your flank's able to go through and has a health pack as well. So this sort of opens up a lot more avenues on the point, makes it not so choked up. We also have the removal of some railings and things, and adding some more railings to make it a little harder for snipers to tear apart your team from way down on their side of the map.
And looks like we are going live in 90 seconds, so it's going to take just a little bit as STV does get caught up. What you guys are seeing here is not the real-time live. It's a 90-second delay, so teams can't use it or abuse it to sit inside of the STV and get information on the other team, but honestly, it just makes it that much better as the suspense comes here. Let's get started out, and let's get our predictions for this map. Rogue, what do you think for Viaduct the final scoreline is going to be?
You know what, sigafoo? I have a lot of friends on the side of Velocity, and I'm pulling for those guys, but I'd be pretty hard-pressed to guess anything other than a 3-0 for Froyotech on this first one.
Yeah, I want to say that it'll be like a 3-1 or something a little bit closer. It really just, I honestly think this map is going to come down to, can they keep Boar in check and can Viper go off? And if those two things are true, I think that there is a very good chance Velocity could push this to maybe a 3-2, or maybe they will make an upset on this map, but it's hard-pressed to not think that they will be able to take this. Froyotech will, but the fortunate thing for Velocity eSports is the final 2 maps are payload maps. So even if they aren't going to beat Froyotech on a Koth map, that's okay, because they can finish off the series by winning the final 2 payload maps. So it'll be curious to see what they want to do with this, how it's going to ultimately be working out. Right now, you can see here early on, Froyotech, Eric is on the engineer class. I'm expecting him to run that to mid, As we are live, we get ready for this first mid-fight in this RGL.GG grand final matchup. It's going to be VoxDei eSports on red, Froyotech coming out on blue. As you can see, Sai is going to be actually on demo instead of Habib, who's going to be walking out here. Shamu gets taken down there early on. I'm sorry, that was a bad HUD element there for me. As Vipa on Spy, he's getting himself into position. It's kind of some just jostling across the point, but no real frags coming out for either team. Froyotech going a little low. Blaze gets taken out, Banny taking a 1v1 on the side. Here comes Vipa behind the sniper. He gets the stab on the board, gets traded out for that, but that's going to allow VoxDei to push up because they don't have to worry about dying to the enemy sniper. They don't have to worry about their head being taken off, just about pure damage, and you can see that allowed them to push across the point.
Massive props to Carl on that first push. What he did is he pushed across caution on the shutter next to the point, and what that did is it distracted Froyotech so much that Viper was able to get the stab, and Carl was able to kill, what was it, 2 or 3 players because he was so far forward and getting arrowed by skis. So a very well-deserved mid-win for VoxDei.
Yeah, the big thing here is Vipa, when he makes his plays on Spy, he needs to make sure that he's doing it in conjunction with his team. He does switch to Engineer. I'm guessing we're going to see him switch to Engineer when they do control the point. You can see a mini sentry up on the right-hand side. Here comes out the Ubercharge. They drop Sai early on here, so no Devilman. Slemnish going down incredibly low on the heavy class, as it's going to be Banny pushing forward with the Scout as well as Engineer. Eric gets taken down, and they just lost 2 players trying to push this. Boar is going to try to find a headshot. Doesn't find anything so far. Healing onto Jared as he's trying to spam him out, but here comes Banny. Straight onto the Devilman, eating a lot of damage though. Great job out of Jarrett, spamming them back, and this is awesome out of VoxDei as they've held on to this point for a straight minute and repelled the first push out of Froyotech.
Absolutely, and for our new friends here, when you control the point, your respawns are longer. So if you trade 1 for 1, the players on Froyotech are going to come up faster. So you see neither team has Uber, both sitting around 65. So what Froyotech is hoping to do is get a couple picks and move across point. But VoxDei is not letting him in. Even Shamu, for not any reason in particular than seeing Boar completely alone, decides to push all the way across point into Froyotech and takes out Boar. The trading Scout for Sniper, again, those trades aren't so great, but Sniper's so strong on this map, you gotta give big props to Shamu.
But Eric has switched to Spy, and that caught them off guard. He takes down Vipa. The Engineer ultimately trades his life, but on the far side, Blaze and Banny were going ham on the grass, taking down one. As now Sai's pushing in here, trying to get onto board. Here comes Banny as well as conjunction with his meta Cookie Jake sitting at 100%. And here comes Blaze from behind, gets the frag onto skis. Banny picking up one more on the front side. Marmaloo's in, but Jarrett and Scout and Demo, they're still trying to go in here. Here comes in the Soldier. Marmaloo gets the force off on the medic. That's great as Skis is going to come up here and going to be even Umers. Marmaloo is still causing havoc from behind the scenes as Vipa has now switched off to Spy to help his team retake this point. But so far, they're up by 2 minutes and 15 seconds, and Froyotech is finally going to capture the point. Vipa gets the kill on the medic with the help of their Scout, and they're going to respawn back up here, push forward, and Cookie Jake's down for another 10 seconds.
You got to give some props to Cookie Jake for milking for a while, knowing he didn't really have to use, but then again, they took an extra 30 seconds just to get across the point because of all the, the attrition there, that's the word, going across the point both ways. It just took them so long to edge their way slowly across the point. Cookie Jake taking all the pressure and ultimately going down for it. You have to wonder, maybe what if you just take your team straight into it? Because Eric right now does take down Andrew, and Viper goes down as well, so this is going to give a nice amount of time to Cookie Jake to build up that Uber, this 25 they said, and this is going to give good time to Froyotech to just get set up and get comfortable.
Yeah, VoxDei was trying to get a little bit cute here, but right now getting cute is Eric, who picks up a stab, and Froyotech getting comfortable as they pick up some nice frags. Eric doing a good job on that Spy class. I'm curious if he'll hold on to it despite his team doing such work. And here comes Vipa now decloaking behind Cookie Jake. He did get heard, and that's the careful. Vipa has to be careful decloaking when there's no distractions. Now you can see Froyotech, they're into their aggressive hold. Marmaloo's going to jump in here on the grass, but gets instantly destroyed. But Vipa picks up one, going for 2, does take down Blaze, trading himself out for it, and now Carl's going to just put damage onto the enemy team. But that should open it up for VoxDei once they get their respawns. It looks like Froyotech is giving up cliffside, but they have to be careful because that's where Eric is right now on the Spy class. He's getting himself set up, and looks like they're going to come through main, and Sai is currently blocking that off. As they might be able to get some back cap time here with a Scout. As, yep, there you go. Froyotech is going to have to back up. They gave up grass and wisely backing up. But now how can VoxDei push this as they're down about 20%?
That's right, Cookie Jake sitting with the full Uber on point. They know that Velocity is going to be up in the Uber pretty soon. Marmaloo and Shamu are able to work their way up on concrete a little bit. They get kind of spammed out, so they're not going to have a ton of room. Viper goes down too before this push, which isn't what you want to see, but now the Uber comes in. Jarrett sees taking it into Sai and Cookie Jake, forcing the Uber out. Now, Velocity doesn't have any ground to speak of. They're coming in here trying to repush this. They do get Sai, but they trade their own Demo Man for it. Shamu at a solid 6 health, trying to take that 1v1 against Banny, who's being healed. Can't make it happen. So Froyotech is sitting pretty with a whole 30 seconds to hold this point, and that's not enough time for Velocity to build up another charge.
Yeah, and here comes Banny onto Andrew, takes him down, so any sort of miracle play coming out of the sniper, that's not going to work out for you. Skis gets body shot, I believe. They're going down to half HP, and Banny now, he's forward for his team and takes down Carl. And this is going to be hard. Jarrett get taken out. Viper has switched to Pyro, but it's a little bit too late as Froyotech's going to continue to hold on to this as they count down the final seconds, and Froyotech goes for 3 minutes straight. And that aggressive hold just seems to stifle and confuse Velocity as they weren't able to do anything after such a strong start. It seems momentum is currently in Froyotech's favor as we come out to the second mid-fight.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Velocity was able to hold for, I think, 2 minutes, 15 seconds. They won the first mid-capture, so let's hopefully we're going to see them turning it around as we have Viper working his way across the point as well as Spy, but we have Eric on Spy too. So here, another team really committing just yet, no longer to send a soldier forward or putting Carl up into the wall. Andrew is being healed up, Boar is being healed up. Oh, Blaze is able to work his way around, and Eric comes in from behind as Viper gets a stab as well. Kills going all across the board. It was the eye before the storm, sigafoo.
Yeah, I mean,
the calm before the storm, that's it.
Yeah, the slow mid-fights that both of these teams have been playing, it seems to be working in the favor of Velocity right now, as Boar is at the bottom of the table, uncharacteristically for him. I don't know if he's just not hot or if it's just too much pressure coming out of Velocity. As Banny's pushing in here incredibly low, Carl was turned around at the time, could have taken him out if he was fully revved up. Shamu's going to go into the enemy team, but he goes down incredibly low. He's going to get chased down there by Banny into a 1v1. Gets a nice little meat shot on him, but fortunately the focus from Froyotech will be enough to take him down for 14 seconds, as Froyotech should be able to just walk back out onto this point. Velocity will be content to probably just give it up and not trade out anybody else, as Andrew is trying to find an angle against Boar. He does get the headshot onto him, as Viper is getting himself into position. The point flips in the favor of them, but here comes Viper right behind the vent, takes down Cookie Jake. As Eric's going in behind the enemy team as well. He's going to go for a play onto Skis, puts him down to half HP. Blaze jumping in as well, and the tank team takes them down. Banny gets traded out. Sai is still behind. Velocity will come down with this point, but not with the Uber advantage, as Sai finally gets traded out there, but at least Velocity will hold on to the lead in terms of time.
Both medics going to be reset here, both at just about 5%. That was a solid heads-up play coming out of Froyotech, because they know that since their mid's down, they don't want to leave Skis with 100% advantage. So they give up the point, but they're able to get the medic. Down. Now what they're looking to do is dry push before Velocity gets their Uber up. So Skis and Jarrett trying to pepper away, Shamu doing some work, staying close. Cookie Jake getting a little cozy, a little too familiar with the enemy team. But Banny and Blaze get taken down by Marmaloo and Andrew. So this is going to give a solid number advantage to Velocity. Viper and Shamu walking all the way in, and then Marmaloo coming in with the flank on the side, taking down Boar. So once they saw that Froyotech didn't want to do anything about being down 2 players, all the flank and pit classes on the side of Velocity just kind of walked forward. Now Carl also pushed all the way up onto Shutter. This is giving his team a lot of space, and both teams have this full Uber, so what Froyotech has to do is work their way in very slowly, working off Boar, trying to come in from Cliff. But the longer they wait, the more time gets ticked off the clock as Eric gets 2 backstabs onto Andrew and Jarrett.
Alert. The control point is being contested.
We have the Froyotech push onto the point. Banny and Boar working their way forward of all classes. They're able to take down Carl and Marmaloo for their efforts. Viper going in for a little bit of a last-ditch play. But now the point is going in the favor of Froyotech. Now, Froyotech doesn't have enough players to keep that forward hold, so we're going to have to see what they can do on the side of Velocity to get in quick before they get too set up.
Yeah, and sorry about the technical difficulties there. Moving the mic is not always the best option, but we'll see what the best option can be for Velocity, as they didn't allow Froyotech to get themselves set up in an advanced position, but Eric taking down Jarrett's no demo man potentially for this push as both teams up at 100%, and Vipa got caught out again. Froyotech doing a great job randomly spamming different angles, trying to look for that spy, not let him be able to run around for free. I mean, he didn't even bump anybody, I believe. He just believe it was Slemnish and Banny just kind of shooting around in circles, as Banny is doing a lot of times getting very aggressive. Great rocket out of Marmaloo connecting with him there, punishing Banny's aggression, and that might open up for Velocity as they have the one-player advantage, trying to work up on the right-hand side. Boar gets taken out, so no sniper up here. Ubers are going to be traded off, but this should turn out in the favor of Velocity, despite having a little bit worse. Vipa is getting himself into position, but this is going to be Cookie Jake just backing out. He's down to half HP, going in for the butter knife. Ultimately, the fray comes out. Jarrett picks it up, and here comes in Blaze, but the point's going to go back in the favor of Velocity, and they're going to continue to get time, and this is looking great for them.
You're looking at Eric to be a big beacon of hope for Froyotech here. Ski's going to have a solid 40% advantage, and there's only 40 seconds left on the clock. So really, if you're Froyotech, you're Cookie Jake, you're only looking at getting Uber about overtime. So what we're going to have to see is we're going to have to see this drive push coming in. Froyotech does work their way forward. Eric may be waiting for some pressure from his team, but does get cut out by Shamu. So now Froyotech working their way across point. Jarrett taking a little bit of damage. Viper does catch Eric here. So, Skis goes down to Boar. This is exactly what Froyotech needed. They end up losing a couple players here, but Carl gets taken out as well. Boar going off. Andrew gets the trade off onto Boar. Now it's just Jarrett and Vipa trying to fight, but Andrew takes down Cookie Jake. Now Velocity is flying forward and they're able to secure the round.
Yeah, we'll see. Just Banny's going to be running on to point. There's still a possibility. Vipa just needs to push him back. Now it's going to be a body shot. Great job out of Velocity. They lost their medic, but they pushed forward. They didn't allow Froyotech to take ground. They didn't play scared, not having heals. And ultimately, it's something unusual, but Velocity won the DM fight. You know, they're looking incredibly strong here so far. They're looking fantastic, and we'll see if they can continue it on. It is 1-1 as we move into our third mid-fight. And these have been pretty slow. You can see Eric is now running Engineer, not Spy. He's been running Spy most of the game, so we'll see if that helps out his team. But that's the point of this game mode, is it's about being dynamic. It's about mixing up, trying to see what works out for your team. Vipa is trying to get a frag on the Blaze instead of going for the combo. As Banny goes down, Carlo gets taken out there. He's going to be the first frag of this mid-fight. Everybody's bunched up in the same area for Froyotech. That can be easily spammed out here by Jared as Devilman gets taken out. The Engineer's gun, it should go down. Vipa is going to go for a play on the board here as they're running away. And Eric tried to go up onto the right-hand side, but Velocity once again wins another mid-fight looking incredibly strong.
I'm loving the hustle coming out of Velocity here, sigafoo. Even when Velocity sees, hey, we got Banny, or hey, Blaze is distracted, their flank knows they can push all the way up on concrete and take so much space. Now, very nice snipe from Andrew onto the heavy. But they actually do take Banny straight into Velocity. Carl going down so low, going to give up his life for this point. But now this is going to give Skis almost a complete 100% advantage. He takes Jarrett forward. They're putting some pressure into Cookie Jake, and they seal the deal with Andrew getting a snipe onto side. Banny comes in from downtown and takes out Andrew, though. So this is going to still leave the point in control of Velocity. But we have Banny and Blaze trying to get some work done. They do get Skis in the end.
Yeah, it looked like the problem there is Skis honestly should have just left Jarrett behind. As soon as he popped that Uber, they took down the medics. There was no ways that Skis was going to come out alive with Banny being that close. A Demo v Scout, even with a medic, behind him, is going to be a hard fight to win. Skis could have got out there alive, reconnected back up with this team. But ultimately, the loss isn't that big because he respawns so quickly. So he's going to only be about a 20% Uber disad, which isn't that big of a deal. Vipa back up on Spy. You can see Eric is still rocking the Engineer class. There's a lot of aggression coming out from the three flankers. Eric now can use that DM to push up with his team. Shamu getting taken out right outside his spawn. Banny going all the way through. And Froyotech is just losing their grass side as Blaze pushing in here. Down he goes. Banny went down as well, and so that's 4 players down. Only 3 players left alive, and the aggression out of Froyotech is ultimately being worked against them as Cookie Jake got taken out as well from Andrew.
Yeah, that headshot is what really opened it up for Velocity. Froyotech tried to mitigate the loss and push a lot of their players forward, but they're not able to get Skis for it. They did take some more seconds off the clock, which is always good, but now the point goes to Velocity. Boar takes out Andrew as well, and now Carl goes down. So this point is going to be a little bit hard to hold, but we have Skis ready with Shamu and Jarrett to pop that Uber right about now.
Yeah, they're going to go in. They need to heat seek onto Cookie Jake. They need to not let him get the Uber advantage. Jared jump all the way over, and here comes in Shamu. Picks up the frag. Skis is going to go down, though. He got so aggressive here, but Shamu's able to pick up the frag. Banny goes down as well, and Froyotech lost so many players. They're going to be a little bit slow to push out onto this point. And so despite getting some decent frags, it's just not going to be enough, as their slow classes are the only ones really left alive. And Vipa is, again, going to be getting himself back into position. Boar with a nice body shot there onto the enemy scout of Shamu. And we'll see what they can do, as Vipa is looking, he's eyeing the medic, he's getting himself into position. Carl's eating some damage, but he's gonna go right now, and he gets him. Cookie Jake goes down once again to the backstab, and Banny should get traded out here as well. He's so low, and they still haven't captured the points.
What a great job of kiting on the side of Velocity. Carl was a little forward and started getting melted by Froyotech, but Velocity knows that Viper's going in for the play, and as soon as that door's open, the rest of Velocity floods the point. So this cohesion and coordination, sigafoo, it's art, you know? It's so beautiful to see, and we can see it paying off. They're ahead by 1.5 minutes on the clock. They're 1-1 in rounds against Froyotech. So now they're also coming up with an Uber advantage of about 25-30%. So we're having the dry push come in from Froyotech, and it's getting a little scrappy, especially losing Boar, Banny, and Slemish. Oh my.
Yeah, that was a nice job out of Vipa. He didn't get the enemy medic, but he's like, I'll settle just for the sniper, because any sniper pick is ultimately going to be worthwhile. You know, anytime you can get the enemy sniper, it just allows your team to get aggressive. You can see as soon as the enemy sniper goes down, you can just walk across the point. You don't care. Now, the problem is there's so much overtime here. It's going to give a really good chance for Froyotech to push back out onto it, but it doesn't matter when you have Uber charge to pop up the enemy medic. Takes him down, but there's a lot of time left in the clock. Blaze jumping in here very high up. Banny going in as well. Banny's going to be able to pick up one, but ultimately gets traded out there. It's just going to be Eric left to be able to do the side going in, but he's traded down. That's a complete wipe in the favor of Velocity as the time ticks down here, and they're not going to have a chance, and Velocity is going to take the lead in Froyotech's map pick.
And here's the thing too, sigafoo, is that they deserve these wins. It's not like there's a crazy play, or it's not like Froyotech made a big mistake, or someone on Velocity just happened to go huge. No, they're playing well as a team. They're putting in the damage. They're standing in the right positions. They're playing off of each other and following each other's calls. So this is a brawl coming out of each side, and that I think explains why it's been such a close game.
And you can see that they are getting annoyed of the enemy spy, because they are now running a Pyro, Eric is, and he was searching for Vipa, took him down early on, but while that was happening, the sniper Andrew took one down, takes down another. Andrew on a 3K during this mid-fight. Cookie Jake running out alone back to his spawn with the tail between his legs. But fortunately, the tail between the legs also carries 70% Uber, so that's decent. That's a decent thing to fall back onto. But Velocity once again will come down with the midpoint, looking really good. As Shamu's getting himself, look at that little cute little spot Shamu's in. He's looking to make a play, maybe jump onto the enemy team.
So sneaky. Oh, Banny does find him. You hate to see it, and especially because you have such a long respawn. Cookie Jake and Skis are even here, working though a little bit forward. Banny kind of scouting it out. No trap from Jarrett here, but he does get Andrew. Now, Froyotech is actually making their way pretty far across the point without forcing the Uber, and Boar takes down Jarrett.
Yeah, just back up here, get out here, Skis. Carl might stay in here to try to pick up some frags, but ultimately gets traded out here. The biggest thing is Skis just cannot get forced. He cannot get traded out. But they also don't want to let Froyotech get set up in their aggressive holds. When they do that, they seem to struggle a lot. And right now, you can see Vipra's now onto the Pyro class. But they do have an enemy Pyro. A Pyro WM1 Uber can be incredibly good. As Andrew might have helped get the force off there. Cookie Jake went down to half HP. It's going to be about a 30% better Uber charge here for Jarrett. They're trying to get some damage onto the enemy team, cleaning up a little bit of it. But ultimately, they dropped Shamu in there. Now Banny's pushing forward, going straight onto Skis, chasing him all the way back to spawn. But Banny just cannot seem to connect. Finally does finish him off, though Marmaloo is able to trade him out 9 seconds before they're back up alive. And they might have a chance to push this once they get everybody back up. But, I mean, they just need to find something. Maybe working Andrew. But no, Boar's going to be spotting him out, gets the headshot. And this is going to be hard for Velocity. This is when they struggle. They don't tend to do well when they don't control the point, and they don't really have a foothold anywhere.
You know, sigafoo, the way I usually spectate these games is I just sit all the way up in the skybox on the map looking at the point. And I'm wondering how on earth Velocity is fighting that Uber 3v7 into Froyotech, and then I realized that half of Velocity, 4 players, were trying to fight Blaze all the way on flank. So that's why that Uber went so well on the side of Froyotech. And now Froyotech's going to find themselves with a 50% advantage.
Yeah, we'll see if they can... Vipa is going to... The big thing is they need to get their spy into this or their sniper. They need to get one of their pick classes to make a play or to go for a suicide bomb in. And...
What a nice snipe from Boar onto Jarrett in the air.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be able to work themselves out. Vipa, now this is it. Vipa's back behind, but because the suicide wave came in and Velocity backed up, that actually allowed Froyotech to get a little bit of an advanced hold. They're not actually going for a full hold here. They do currently hold about a minute up. Boar, so aggressive, takes down Jarrett again. Oh, that man, his eyes are sparkling. He is on fire. Currently, he is on a 6K. He didn't show up earlier, but he's showing up now as Vipa also got taken down, so no secondary pick class to be able to help them push forward here. Both teams are at 100%, but they're down a player. Carl getting pushed onto. Ski's going to get forced off here by Banny. They drop one of Marmaloo. Shamu's pushing all the way forward here. Cookie Jake still hasn't popped yet, and he doesn't even need to pop. They're so far back, but Velocity at least is getting some ground out of this. And finally, the counter Uber's going to come in here, but Vipa is going to trade his life, blasting it back. We'll see if Velocity can do anything, as Carl's currently behind them.
Yep, this one all comes up to Carl. He does get a lot of damage, and there were already plays down on Froyotech, but that's it. Just Blaze and Banny left. Ski's now going to have a little bit of advantage to work with. But, oh, Banny and Blaze coming back in just at the last second, bringing Skis down to, what was that, about 12 health? So Skis thanking his lucky stars, but now Velocity are going to be able to set up a little bit and try and run a whole 2 minutes and 10 seconds off of this clock.
And this is match point. If Velocity is able to hold it for about 2 minutes and 5 seconds straight, they will win this map, and they will move on to upward. Boar takes a headshot against Andrew, but fortunately he had an overheal, so he does not go down. Banny's pushing across the point. A lot of free ground being given up to Froyotech, but Andrew does take down Boar, so that's going to allow Velocity. They're not going to play scared anymore. They're going to get aggressive here with Jarrett as well as Carl, but Sai's doing a decent amount of damage, but Shamu is doing a good job of keeping them back, but Froyotech still pushing forward. Ski's up at 100%, and we should see the advantage being used, and here comes Jarrett across the point, but the pause is out. Is that me? Yeah.
Cookie Jake does have 75% here, and he's pretty far back on the back of Hill. It's going to be a big question whether or not Jarrett and Shamu are able to get all the way back and take out Cookie Jake with this Uber.
Yeah, but that was, I mean, this is exactly where they wanted them to be, you know, so we can kind of take this moment. So right now, Vipa's HUD is apparently, so Vipa's having issues, so he is currently just restarting up his TF2. So once we get this pause on 9, this pause isn't happening in this moment. This pause happened 90 seconds in the future, by the way. And so the way that this works is that, but the big thing here is that because Boar got taken out right before this push happened, you know, because Velocity was like, okay, I can get aggressive here, we can kind of play the ground. And that means that then Velocity is that much closer. So when this Uber happens, you know, they potentially can catch Cookie Jake out. Now, the problem is that Shamu backed up. Like, there must have been some bad calls happening out of Velocity, because if I was Shamu, I would not be backing up here. I don't have an enemy sniper harassing me. I'm at full HP. You know, why am I backing up in this moment? I know that we're going to have Uber, and the thing is this Uber right here should be a scout-led Uber, because you want to get onto Cookie Jake, because Cookie Jake is currently at 75 HP, so you want your fastest classes to race across the point, take down Cookie Jake, and then back up, and then restart up, you know, set up for a redefense. So as we wait for this unpause to happen, wait for the players to get their stuff figured out here, you know, so far, just, I would say, a really nice job at Velocity and looking pretty good in this fourth round. But, you know, so far, who are the kind of the difference makers for Velocity that are kind of catching you off guard?
I've been very surprised with Vipa and how he's able to flex. I'm impressed with Carl and his positioning. You know, with even fewer players and no sentry guns and things, Carl's been able to get himself pretty far forward. But the beauty of having Carl on heavy and with all the Highlander experience, multiple platinum placements and victories, he knows when to do it too. So he keeps himself alive and gets himself in the positions to frag better than, you know, pretty much anyone else we have in Prolander. I'm also loving Andrew, too, at a solid 52 points compared to Boar's 36. So Andrew definitely holding his own in the Sniper v Sniper.
Yeah, they definitely are. And just looking at the frag count inside of the server, Banny is currently top fragging for his team with 32 frags. Andrew is sitting just a little bit behind at 27 and Shamu at 26. So, you can really see the difference that really is stepping up is Andrew's out fragging Boar by about 2-1. Boar is only at 15 frags, so that's a pretty big this is a pretty big difference between the enemy snipers, and I think one of the reasons why VoxDei is doing so well is just Andrew is just having such a great game, consistently hitting those shots, and then Shamu, I mean, he's holding basically toe-to-toe with it, as the unpause is going to be happening here.
Jarrett and Shamu working their way pretty far forward. Cookie Jake running all the way out almost towards spawn, but he's able to get out and survive with his 75% Uber. So nothing too much done with the Uber coming out of skis. So now it's just going to be a matter of trying to hold this point while... Oh, or goes down to Andrew. But it's going to be how do we hold this point despite the Uber coming in from Froyotech.
Yeah, and they're going to try to use buffed up Vipa using that Pyro class to try to push it back as Banny pushing forward. But there's really didn't get anything with that. Cookie Jake goes down incredibly low. Slemnish down incredibly low as well. He's getting arrowed up, but Cookie Jake's not able to do it enough. Banny's to the right-hand side. He's going to be coming in here onto the Soldier, going down to incredibly low as well. And they continue to hold on to this. And Froyotech flub 100% Uber advantage push.
Yeah, thanks for reminding me which team just made themselves invulnerable, because I almost switched them up based on how that Uber went. Right now, we have the Uber coming up on skis, Cookie Jake working forward with side, but now Shamu able to work all the way in, putting huge damage into side. Vipa and Shamu chasing on the right. Jarrett actually goes down to side. Blaze getting a frag as well, so this is going to give Froyotech the room they need to make this dry push work, especially because the respawns are so long for velocity.
Yeah, they do at least pick up one frag, but that Uber out of velocity was just clunky as heck. And Skis is going to try to walk away, but there you go. Here comes Shamu back on the point. The countdown is on, and here comes in Jarrett, but it's not going to be enough as we are going to move into the overtime round. The final round, this is going to be the decider, as the Velocity on red is going to have their chance to potentially get an upset against Froyotech on this map alone. But so far, what an incredible start to the grand finals this has been.
And let's not forget, we have 2 payloads coming up after this, so it's time to pull out all the stops on King of the Hill, get all the frags. Andrew starts it out by sniping Boar down. Jarrett takes out Banny as well. Now we have Marmaloo getting a big jump, getting stuck behind enemy lines. But Andrew, Carl, and Jarrett go down on the side of Velocity, so very scrappy mid-fight.
Yeah, Blaze and Banny went behind the enemy lines right away. Banny got caught by Jarrett's trap. But somehow, despite keeping their medic alive, Shamu might come down with this point. No, Banny back up on the respawn, pushing across the point. He was one of the first casualties, but it was a smart play out of Jarrett. He trapped up the rock side on the left, and that when Banny came up there, he just blasted his trap and killed him instantly. But unfortunately, Blaze was able to take down Skis. Shamu was not able to defend his medic, and so this is going to be, I think, the first mid-fight which Froyotech has won. And if this is any sign, this is probably going to be Froyotech's point, just because of how well they hold on to the point once they control it. And Skis going down. They switched up classes, so Skis is now on Spy, and Vipa is Medic? Or did they switch names?
I think they actually switched classes. No, they did switch names, I think, because I don't think I'm friends with Skis, but I am with Vipa. We'll run it past our team, but anyway, the medic is down on the side of Velocity either way. And actually, a lot more than just the medic are down on the side of Velocity. So now, Froyotech is able to do a little bit of their forward hold, just kind of working their way in, stopping Velocity from even being able to touch the point.
Yep, and this is where Velocity, they need to figure it out. That right now they can get through on. Vipa needs to be telling where Froyotech is. Right now, the grass site is open. They need to push that up, and Vipa gets caught out. Eric with his random spams of flames is doing enough, but Jarrett up on the cliff side is doing a lot of damage onto Sai, and ultimately pushes him off. Nice job. And that was one of the quickest times that Froyotech has been pushed out of their aggressive hold, but once again, this is we'll see what they can do. Marmaloo does pick up a frag onto Blaze, and so that's going to allow them to push up onto the right-hand side for free. Vipa's getting himself into position as well, and this is where Velocity has done really well. Vipa is getting himself into position. Marmaloo's currently behind. Cookie Jakes gets forced off. Banny's going to go down incredibly low, but getting flashed off. A better Uber for the red side as they drop Slemnish. Cookie Jake is going to try to get out, got down to half HP, but Marmaloo's able to finish him off. And there you go. Velocity able to retake the point, but down about 2 minutes. Here comes in the bomb. Devilman Scout as well. Banny, here comes a Blaze, and they're going to be able to do enough and take down Carl. They completely wipe Velocity and take down the medic. Well, it's probably just meant to be a medic bomb. Wow, what a play out of Froyotech to pick up so many frags.
You know what? That's what Velocity needed to kill Cookie Jake and keep Skis alive. That's what they needed to ride out the rest of this round, but they don't get it, sigafoo. They end up going down, losing so many players to that bomb coming in. So now there's only 30 seconds left on the clock for Froyotech. Boar is in a very nice position on the rock, watching a lot of the different entryways. Slumnish and Psy really close on Shutter, able to ward off whatever players come their way, but Andrew just sort of walks out on patio and takes down Psy. That's going to help you get in. Neither medic is going to have for a while either. They're both at 50%.
Yeah, and here we go. Blaze is jumping in. He goes down. A couple players currently in the favor of Velocity as they're working their way forward. Bandy going down to half HP as Viper got taken out. Cookie Jake getting disconnected from his team, and that's going to allow Velocity to push across the point here. Shamu is backing up, and there you go. Slemnish taking him out, and Shamu now is backing up, and Velocity's going to be able to hold on to this, and but with 3 minutes basically to hold on to this straight, that is a tall order for any team, and especially with their current playstyle, it's going to take a miracle for Velocity to be able to defend Froyotech for 2 minutes and 30 seconds straight.
And what's interesting too is Froyotech wasn't doing much wrong. You know, they were getting frags, they were in the right positions, they were getting cap time and positioning, but they just weren't doing it as well as Velocity. So now for them to turn it around and have such a strong showing on the first half of this point goes to show that they're, you know, ready for this win. Vandy going all the way in. They force Skis a little bit late, actually. Skis now running forward with Shamir and Jarrett. Able to put some damage out, but not able to get any frags. So Carl and Jarrett both go down. We have Eric on the Pyro just pushing everyone back. Velocity doesn't even know how to handle it.
Yeah, we saw that Viper try to go for a cute sentry gun, but it just was not up in time or in a place that really did a lot of damage. Maybe putting that up on Cliff would have done it, but Froyotech retake the point and are able to stave off losing the first map. As, wow, 3-2 in the first map. I mean, both of us thought this was going to be a clean roll in the favor of Froyotech, so Velocity showing that they have a lot of life left in them as we move on to Upward, which is the map that was selected by Velocity. As we can take a look at the logs here, and Rogue, why don't you talk about that for a little bit?
You got it. So I actually just gotta pull up the logs here if you'll give me just 1 second. But here we go. So topping the scoreboard, we have Banny with a big 42 frags and 22 deaths on Scout. Now, Banny, also on Scout, is top damaging in the server with 458 damage per minute. Next on the scoreboard is Andrew in both kills and damage, pulling in 31 kills, 420 damage per minute. So very strong showing from Banny and Andrew, proving themselves on this map. Banny especially going, you know, almost 2-to-1 in terms of frags on Scout, such a mobile class. That him turning up in the end was a huge factor contributing to the success of Froyotech. We also have, in terms of medics, you know, my personal favorites, we have 14 deaths on Skis and 13 on Cookie Jake. We have a couple more Ubers even coming out of Skis compared to Cookie Jake, so both medics playing pretty close to each other. So it really looks like it came down to a couple of these flankers and a couple of these big plays, especially from Bandy being so consistent.
Yeah, I mean, Bandy kind of pulled away. Shamu was not that far behind when we were talking about it beforehand. He was only, you know, maybe 5 or 6 frags behind, but now being, you know, 13, you know, Banny just really stepping apart and just looking good overall. Eric doing work for his team, 4th fragging despite kind of being a mixed match. And really, I think, honestly, those rounds went in the favor, partially just because Froyotech was like, stop the spy. Like, as soon as they lost the 2 rounds and they were like, we need to stop Viper. And they did such a good job at it. I think switching Eric to run Pyro to counter Viper on Spy was ultimately one of the main things that let them do work, because it was really the kills on Cookie Jake and Boar. Because Boar was not doing a lot of work, and one of the main reasons was because, well, basically anytime Viper was alive, he was either taking down Cookie Jake or he was taking down Boar. And so going for that counter pick of Pyro, and particularly Froyotech did a good job of just randomly spamming taking down Viper. I think that really helped them out and allowed them to kind of really just take the ground as we move on to Upward. But Trying to think, look at other storylines here. The other big one is Andrew in the sniper v sniper. He is 9-5. So Andrew has sniped Boar 9 times, and Boar only got him 5 times. So Andrew really stepping up to the plate.
I'm looking here too. I sang a lot of praises towards Carl. Carl and Slemnish going about 1 for 1 in their kills and deaths, but you'll notice Carl did 100 more damage per minute as opposed to Slemnish. And if you look down towards the heals, Slemnish got over 1,000 more heals than Carl and 5 more % of his medic's heals. So Carl doing a lot more with a lot less definitely helped their team out, and it gave them a lot of positioning, it gave them a lot of openings, and it gave them something to fall back on, when you don't have those mini sentries and things like that. So it was a very strong showing from him, but as we could see from Banny putting all that damage out, probably a lot of it into Carl, it wasn't quite enough to stave off all of those pushes that kept coming in.
And real quick here, as we're getting ready for this next pick ban wave, I want to do 2 quick shout outs, guys. If you guys are interested in trying out Prolander, we host free pugs on a weekly basis. rgl.gg/pugs. It joins to our Discord. We have almost 1,000 users, and it's a ton of fun. All skill levels. We use a custom balancing system to be able to play in it. And definitely, if you're interested in trying out Prolander, even if you've never played competitive before, it's a great place to get started. On top of this, guys, one of the other options I would suggest for you is we are going to be hosting a free 1-day tournament. If you go to cup.rgl.gg, you can read more about it. 50% of the teams that enter will win keys. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's in January. Registration opens on Friday. So cup.rgl.gg. We're going to be hosting a free cup that gives away prizes. It's going to be a lot of fun. And as we, guys, I hope you guys all check that out. But let's get back to the pick bans for Upward. As we can see, Velocity, they're the home team. This is their map pick. And Froyotech going after the engineer here early on. I bet we're going to see a lot more engineer plays, as Froyotech does not like to deal with an engineer. But interesting, Velocity going for the pain train, so making it so that no other classes, so basically forcing, if you want ×2 on the cart, it's going to have to be Banny.
That is such a heads-up ban. I was thinking about that for a while and came to the exact same conclusion. Because if they can keep a soldier, keep Blaze on the cart, and then have Banny just run forward and get healed up by Cookie Jake, you are going to get so much done. That pain train man coming out of Velocity is a very heads-up call from them. Very clairvoyant in terms of how this match is going to go. And now, just like you called, also very clairvoyant with these bans, we have the short circuit ban coming out of the side of Froyotech as well.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious to see what Velocity will go for next. I wouldn't be surprised if they go for something like the Razorback. Don't let Boar get comfortable against the enemy spy. Make sure that you can always kind of constantly harass him. Maybe take the gunboats. So, but Marmalou was doing a great job running around the map last time, so I don't think they'll go for a gunboats ban. Kind of looking at the bans they did last time, I'm trying to think of what else they might go for. Probably go for the Pyro. Eric was doing a good job, and that's exactly what they do, taking down the Dragon's Fury next. It's not something that we saw. Mela has been the main proponent running it. We haven't seen Eric run it too much this season, but still, it is a powerful Pyro weapon, and so going to take that away from Eric from being able to run it.
Now we have the Danger Shield ban coming out of Froyotech as well. Again, right, I think that was our first ban from the last map. So getting that shield out of the equation, maybe try and shake up that sniper fight for Boar versus Andrew. And we're going to have to see, too, here how the snipers are able to adapt, especially considering whether or not Viper's on spy, what Boar is able to do, and if he's able to match Andrew in this round.
Yeah, the big thing here is really just like, how do they want to do this next? Which classes do they want to focus? Last round we saw them go after Pyro secondaries, whether or not they'll go after the detonator again or the scorch shot. It's kind of curious. It is something that can be very harassing, but I think if a Pyro is running, doing scorch shot all the time or detonator, he's not being that effective as a Pyro. Pyro, nowadays is really about, it's always been about being up close and personal, but really it's about just trying to find those flank plays, go for those WM1s, and this map, this map really does lend itself to Pyro, but they will go after the detonator once again, and I'm curious to see what they're going to save here. What if I was Velocity, Cloak and Dagger I think would be a good save. Given that maybe the Diamondback, or Banny
Ooh.
going out of turn there, giving away his hand. He's going to save the scorch shot. So they take away the Darwin's Danger Shield and go for the scorch shot. But also, this is the other clever thing. It's because Banny didn't go for the DDS right away. He also gave away like what they wanted to do. They're not. He gave away that like don't go for all pyro bans instantly. So there you go, scorch shot being saved. We're gonna see some scorch shot.
I'm liking the Natasha save out of Velocity as well. That's a very common ban for Froyotech and for Sixes Place in general, because it basically directly hinders Banny, indirectly hinders a soldier and some other classes as well, especially people even trying to leave, which I think it's funny. It doesn't make a lot of sense that being shot in the back, slows you down instead of propelling you, but it's always interesting to see how Carl is able to work with this, especially with a lot of these points. The bomb's on first, holding third on the platform and peeking around that corner. So I think Carl is going to do a lot of very good work on that Natasha, and it's definitely going to make Froyotech regret not banning it sooner.
Yeah, and just to talk a little bit about what the pick bans are, for anybody who's just coming in here, all of the Reddit squares, those are banned weapons. Those cannot be used by either team. The green squares, those are the saves. Those can be used by either team, and they cannot be banned in the final section. Velocity eSports, the number 2 next to their name, that represents they were the second-ranked team in the league. So you can see that Froyotech is the number 1 team currently in the league, and so they are going to be, Velocity is going to be the underdogs coming into this. As a bonk gets taken out, so maybe listen to my little speech that I gave last time, not letting Banny having that. Girardi taken out as well. A known dislike of Froyotech. A lot of teams kind of take away the Girardi because it can be a tide turner. And the thing, if you believe in your DM, I wouldn't be surprised. I wonder if we're going to see a Crits Creek ban maybe at the end here. I know Velocity has consistently banned the Crits Creek against other teams, and I wouldn't be surprised if they use that as their final pick.
Yeah, I mean, Sai can do so much work with that crits, especially Cookie Jake with all of his experience too, with knowing when to use and position himself. And even Banny, just giving Banny the crits whenever there's, maybe not a sentry gun or a heavy to deal with. Banny could just run into the team and shred through them. But you know what? Something that I've found so interesting over the past couple months of casting sigafoo is when a team bans a lot of a weapon and then runs that class anyway. Like last round when even Eric banned like some engineer stuff and then ran engineer. There's got to be we got to come up with a word for that or something like that, It's like just wait until Froyotech runs an NG or Velocity runs a Pyro,
Well, it's like the thing is that that's the great thing about TF2 is that as much as you could ban everything that a class has and it's still viable. That's the thing I love about it is and about the pick bans is the Crits Creek that is their final pick. They are going to be going for that. The thing that I think Velocity Esports will regret not banning is the Rescue Ranger. And the reason is that Eric is fantastic as an engineer, and he just abuses the crap out of it. Now, the Rescue Ranger isn't as strong as it used to be, but if you have an engineer with full ammo, it can still do a lot of work. But the Crits Creek, understandably, coming down. But, it's one of these things where it's you ban, certain items from a class because you just don't want to see them in the game. You can still run engineer, but maybe your team doesn't do well against the Wrangler, or you don't have a strategy based around that, or you don't have a strategy based around the short circuit, that's the dynamic that comes here. But you know what? Hey, guess Eric's not going to be able to use engineer because Froyotech is going to ban the Rescue Ranger, and that is going to be it. These are our 10 bans plus 1 that are going to be inside of this game, and so that's how this format works. That's where the pick ban comes from. Before every match, most leagues. Actually, I should say the most leagues. Literally every other league in TF2 besides us has a static ban list. It's the same every time, but we like to do it a little bit different, make it a little bit more dynamic each game, because it's not just about the dynamicness of classes being played, but it's also about the dynamic of the weapons being chosen. And so it's it really does kind of make it, you mix and match. You can kind of take away counters, such as the Darwin's Danger Shield can't be used to counter the Scorch Shot anymore. It kind of creates interesting gameplay with that. So these teams have 7 on each side, so we should be going live here once we get the pick bans set up. And kind of going into this map here, upward, it's a good time. But what would be a good time on this map, Rogue? What would you say in Prolander as the police are coming by here trying to arrest me for my Prolander ways? What would be a good time on this map?
Your days of maining engineer coming to an end. But I'd say if you're Froyotech on offense here, a good time is typically 7 minutes or less. If you're able to get under like 6.5 to 6 minutes, that's a great time. But 7 minutes is very manageable. If you give it, maybe at best it takes a minute to capture each point with each push because it takes almost a minute to build up an Uber. That's going to be a really quick time of 4 minutes with ×3. So once you make the teams push and build up another Uber more and more, that puts a lot of time onto that clock. So if you get around 7 minutes, you're looking good. If you're upwards of 8, not so great, and 9 minutes is a little bit more rough, but we've even seen some times of like 11 minutes with a comeback. So we'll have to see what they're able to do.
Yeah, and Velocity is going to be starting out on defense. A lot of teams like to start on the defensive side because it allows them to be able to set the time. So it's like whatever Froyotech does on offense, they are able to kind of counter that defensively. So it's like, okay, if Froyotech puts up a 9-minute time, I know how much we're fighting against. So it looks like we got the teams, everything's loaded up, so it shouldn't be too long until we get going here. Teams are probably just catching their breath here to be able to get started up on this map. This is going to be the decider map, though, for Froyotech. If they win it, they will win it all. They will win the grand finals. They will win $1,200 to be walking away with. That's a nice, pretty penny inside of TF2. The loser, I believe, off the top of my head, is $800 for second place. So really not that bad for either of these teams. Both of them are going to be coming out with a nice little payday. And But as we come on to this, I'm kind of curious to see. We saw Velocity run a couple different strategies in the last round, as they are live in real time. So we will be seeing this going live in 90 seconds. But one of the things I think is really important, let's just talk about kind of the different points and stuff to look out for, is in the first point, typically you want to run an engineer because engineers allow you to have their teleporter up, and having your teleporter up. Because if you think about it, if you have your teleporter up, every time somebody respawns, they have to walk like 10 seconds just to get to the front line. And so having that teleporter up, even if the engineer does nothing else, it literally serves the purpose of just keeping your team forward. And I think one of the mistakes I saw out of Velocity is they didn't run an engineer every time on the first point. But Viper did a good job of mixing around. He did a good job on Pyro. So it'll be kind of curious with that. But the other big thing when it comes to this map is transitions. And this is the thing that you're gonna have to look out for, is like when an enemy team starts to lose a point, you got to make sure that you back up and you don't die. As we get live here and we see what Velocity's setup is going to be as we get into the first round in the second map in the grand finals of Velocity versus Froyotech.
Well, yeah, Viper rolling out here on Engineer, which we like to see. We like to get that teleporter up. We like to have the gun, too, where either the enemies have to sack into the gun instead of the medic, or have to just take it down the old-fashioned way, which takes a lot of time and even some lives of players. We also have Carl on the heavy weapons, of course, but probably the two interesting things, are the two only things, are that there's no Pyro and no Spy. Now, having no Pyro here lets the enemy team get very close to your team on Playground. So now, with Banny on Scout, having Eric on Spy, actually, these players are going to get up close and personal with Velocity right out the gate. And in the Uber exchange between Cookie Jake and Skis, there's going to be no Pyro for Skis to hold on to and keep the Froyotech players back.
Mission begins.
Yeah, that is definitely one thing they have to keep out for. They're also running Eric on Spy as be able to get our scores adjusted. So it should be 0-0 here as we are getting started out on this payload map. And right now, it's going to be Eric running on Pyro, actually, so he's not going to be Spy. So that Sentry Gun is going to do a little bit more work as Andrew opens up the game with the first frag onto Banny. Will that be a sign of things to come? As right now, usually you have a suicide wave come in, but Blaze, that's a questionable suicide wave.
Yeah, not so much of a wave, maybe more like a splash with just Blaze going in by himself. But this is letting Carl sit up on Playground, very nice and healthy. Andrew keep taking pot shots from the stairs on Playground. They're just kind of sitting pretty, waiting for something to happen while Froyotech gathers their players and maybe waits for Boar on the long roof.
And Boar gets taken down, so that's going to allow Angie, you can see he's going to get a lot more aggressive now. He's going to start walking up. He's not going to really worry about the angles he takes. His Uber charge is going to come in here. It's going to be led by Banny going into Marmaloo, but the counter Uber is going to come out. And that's ultimately all the goal really was, is just to force out the enemy team's Uber charge, because now you can dry push in Banny going into Carl, take him down incredibly low, and he's still going to escape out with his life. Banny finally gets traded out there. Shamu is going to be able to get back to his medic on fire. as the cart's pushed up, but the respawns are going to favor the offense. As you can see, they are much faster. Marmalade goes down for 18 seconds, but Froyotech, they're only going to go down for about 9 seconds, about 2 times as fast. And you can see VoxDei, they are opting, this is what I'm talking about, the transitions. Instead of trying to hold it with less players, they're going to just back up. But the problem is Viper was so slow, he got taken out there before he could get his gun set back up. Nice job there out of Sai, capitalizing off of the engineer.
Both medics here on 80% as well. We have Shamu trying to take the fight with Vanny over there. Luckily, Jarrett comes in and saves the day. Carl is hurt, Marmalou is hurt. They're trying to hold this tunnel and stay forward, but Skis did go down with that push. So right now, Jarrett and Shamu trying to do whatever they can do to force Cookie Jake, but with 12 HP in a Dream, there's not too much you can get done.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for Shamu to take down a Pyro inside of the tunnel with a heavy on the card as well. He's going to come up on the side. He actually does take down Sai in a 1v1, but that's not going to be much of a prize to walk away with, as they are going to come down with a second point eventually. Andrew also gets a headshot from Boar as they're running all the way through VoxDei. I mean, look at these respawns. They're so far along. I mean, they've really got a bad respawn wave. They're going to get them back up for this third point, but if I was Vipa, I would either run... I might even run Spy here, as they do get the respawns up close. And I don't think they're being trapped right now, but Vipa, yeah, he's actually waiting in there. I don't think anybody spotted him. So he's going to go for the Pyro play from behind. He's just waiting for the call to be made of when to go in. He's going to go in directly onto the board. He does pick up a frag onto him. We'll see if it's going to help out his team too much. Sniper pick definitely is worth it sometimes, but will be worth it right now.
Definitely nice to get something, but now if you were able to blast a super back, which is coming in with Vanny and Sai flying over the top, Cookie Jake flying in, they get Skis and Jarrett right away. You want to have that Pyro saving the Uber, but Shamu does take out Cookie Jake, and the cart is so far back, not even onto Roller Coaster yet. This is going to give the few Velocity players some time to get set up. Marmalou and Viper pushing into Boar going down to just 14 health. Eric getting a backstab onto Carl, while Ben is pushing this cart up. So it's kind of strange, you know, it seems like the Velocity players are all in the wrong place at the wrong time, not really doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing. So now, Slovenist is working this cart farther and farther forward. Vipa and Marmalou going down. They do sack 2 players to get Vanny, which is nice to save the cart, but now Jarrett and Skis are able to work their way forward.
And Eric is still wreaking havoc. This is what I love out of Froyotech, is, you know, this is what Eric does so well. It's like he just runs Spy when you don't necessarily expect him to, and he just keeps getting backstabs on a 2K right now, which doesn't sound like much, but if you take down the key classes, it doesn't matter how few you get, it's when you get them. And that's going to help his team go all the way up here, as Froyotech is setting a blazing time right now of 4 minutes and 2 seconds to the 3 points, which is incredibly fast. The Skis goes down again. Sai, I didn't see exactly what that was, as he's going to go down again, and this is going to be tough for Froyotech this is going to be tough for Velocity to defend.
This is unbelievably impressive. You'll remember they waited almost a minute when the doors opened, and then they just pushed the cart all the way here. And if you'll remember, anything under 6 minutes is like a fantastic time that's going to be super difficult to beat. So now, Jarrett does take down Boar, which is going to give his team some breathing room. But don't forget, Cookie Jake still has a 75% advantage with his full Uber.
And the gun keeps getting taken out of Vipa. He might want to switch to maybe Backburner Pyro, trying to make a play like that. Carl and Lemnish are going to go for 1v1 underneath the point as Uber comes out. I'm not sure exactly what it was. Maybe scared of the enemy sniper of Andrew Banning running all the way back to spawn, as Eric is just getting back up from his respawn. Sai is going to be camping on the upper side, but this might allow Velocity to push back out onto the point. They take down Sai, but Marmalou goes down. Still, everybody is up for Froyotech. The mini-sentry is out. Blaze is camping on their upper hand side. Jarrett is trying to go out. Boar picks up one more. Only 3 players left alive, and yeah, this is looking bad for Velocity.
Look at Boar just locking down all these doorways, and then Blaze jumping up top, playing with Boar. And now Eric gets a backside onto Jarrett. You know, there aren't even enough Velocity players to get anything done. Marmalou coming in from behind. Now Shamu working his way forward with Skis. Private coming in, but nothing done. And that's 5 minutes and 34 seconds for Froyotech. Jesus Christ.
Wow. I mean, last time, especially after that Viaduct round, you thought they'd do a lot better, but this really kind of comes back to just like transitions. Like, they never got a clean transition from one point to the next. Every single time they did it, and then it was going for cheeky plays. Like, you know, we saw, on the third point when Vipa came back up as Pyro, instead of getting back to his team to be able to help out, he decided to go for a cheeky play, which, you know, it's one of those things where it's like, if it works, it works fantastically and it helps out his team tremendously. But in that circumstance, it ultimately hurt his team because having a Pyro when you're down Uber by like 5%, they would have been able to defend the third point because they would have been able to blast back Banny with using the air blast. And so really, it just comes to those small choices allowed Froyotech just to have a blazing fast time. And this is going to be virtually impossible for Velocity to be able to match. I mean, honestly, this is really a round in the favor of Froyotech, and Velocity really just needs to move their mindset on to the next round almost.
I even remember that first push coming out of Froyotech and being very confused by it. You know, pretty much all the players were alive for Velocity, and they were fine. The sniper battles were going okay, mostly on the side of Andrew. And then Cookie Jake decided to take an only Banny on the Uber. He left Sai completely out of the act, just sitting there to watch. And some people were into that, but I didn't think it was so conducive to having a strong push, you know? Then just as soon as it was done, Froyotech kind of sat, waited for both Ubers to fade, and then held crouch and walk forward real slow like, and they got it. So now we do have Jarrett bombing in, not able to get the gun down, Viper going for a play on Spy as well. And they're not getting anything done, but luckily the force did come out of Cookie Jake, so this is going to give a pretty good amount of time for Velocity to get that cart moving as fast as they can, which they're desperate to do.
Yeah, one other kind of funny thing that happened there is Viper, his typical strategy is go back to spawn and then sap the teleporter and then kill it. But what actually happened is that Banny knew this, and so instead of going forward with his team, he actually went back to spawn and killed Viper back at the teleporter. He big brained him and knew his strategy. As Banny is back forward with his team, Viper is going to go for the teleporter more than likely, as they have 100%, but they just need to go for an Uber trade here. They don't have a lot of time, and Viper, yeah, he's just going to come back. 4 goes down, but Banny is currently behind the enemy team. He's going to go for Andrew, picks up that frag. Blaze coming in as well, gets Marmaloo, jumps back out. But but Cookie Jake staying alive, and that's going to allow them to hold on to this next point.
And that's what's so crucial here too, sigafoo, is without Uber, Velocity can't frag. They have to frag hard. Viper does take out Sai, which is definitely going to help their team move forward. They do lose Jarrett though in exchange, so you win some, you lose some. But with these pushes, Velocity can't just win. They have to wipe the enemy team just to get, 2 points in a row, 3 points in a row, just like Froyo did. Now Froyo running all the way in with Banny, they know that they have this advantage, flying straight into skis and getting the job done. Now Banny catches out Carl on the way back with the help of Boar, so they have only 3.5 minutes to run down on this clock, and there is not even close to an Uber on the side of Velocity.
I mean, I think the big thing for Velocity here is not necessarily winning the game, but just get to the third point. Like, set a goal yourself kind of internally to be able to do here. It's not about winning this game necessarily. It's about just, like, doing your best in this moment and trying to learn what you can to figure out how to push against them. But that's going to help you push against them. Andrew getting a headshot onto Cookie Jake. And, well, I mean, technically it's still possible for them to go all the way here, but we'll see what they can do. Vipa is also getting himself right behind Boar, as Boar is actually going to back away. Banny catches out Vipa. The cards continuing to move up here. They do have a 60% advantage, but this is the hardest point to push, and this is where they struggled last season. The real question is, what can Velocity do here? This is a hard point to push aggressively and quickly. And they actually let Cookie Jake forward spawn, and he actually got back out to his team. And Andrew, another headshot onto Boar.
Yeah, this is what it comes down to, sigafoo. They have to get third pretty much right away. Because as you'll notice with the roller coaster that you have to push the cart all the way up, this cart alone takes almost a minute just to push all the way onto the point. And you're working his way forward, stopping them from getting 2 set up, but there is a level 2 sentry gun here coming out from Eric. Well, Andrew is able to serve himself to safety, Marmaloo not so much. Right now, the Uber does come in with Skis and Jarrett coming trying to do some work. They get Banny thanks to Shamu, but all the players on the side of Froyotech are able to just kite for a while and send Blaze all the way in from platform, but he's not able to get Skis, and Skis is able to survive, but Cookie Jake is left on 85%.
Now with 2 minutes left here, Boar does pick up a frag in that right-hand side house as Marmaloo is pushing in, trying to do what he can. They did a good job working that cart up the ramp, but it's not enough so far. As Carl getting reset back here with Jared, as it looks like they want to figure out how to do the next push, but with Cookie Jake sitting at a 70% advantage, this is going to be a hard push, but Boar goes down, but here comes in Banny. He's going to be chasing down that heat-seeking missile, going for Jarrett, not able to connect as Jarrett's still alive. Here comes Inside over the top. Somehow he's still alive. He actually gets a saw off of that, and they're going to leap ahead. Only 2 players left alive here for Froyotech.
That is exactly what Velocity needed. See, the thing is, they couldn't even wait to get newer because Kokijik had a full charge, and there's only a minute 30 left on the clock. So I guess Froyotech getting a little too excited, thinking they're doing a little too well, doesn't manage to kill skis, and they don't manage to get enough kills at all. They end up dropping their players. So now, as long as we have some ×3 and we got a good advantage push coming out of skis, this is doable. This is doable.
This is doable. Technically 44 seconds. It is very possible as they continue to roll the cart forward. They needed, yeah, they have ×3 on it. That's exactly what they need. You can see them getting ready in the lower hand side. They're trying to figure out where Cookie Jake is. That's the thing, is they don't have Vipa on the spy class. Going forward, they can't get off the cart. They need to keep on it. Shimu did walk off it. Here comes it, but they dropped Carl. They dropped Carl in the push. Shimu goes down as well. And any chance they had went out the window as Shimu got taken out on the cart from Banny, and that's going to be it, as Froyotech will come down with the first round, and we'll be moving the match point on upward in the favor of Froyotech. And but honestly, really good effort out of Velocity, showing they're not pushovers, and if they held Froyotech to anywhere near of a decent time, they would have really, I mean, they easily could have come back there.
Yeah, that's what was important. It's sort of like you said, you got to set a goal of maybe getting third or something like that with such a hard time to push into. And they managed to get all the way to last. So, you know, if we saw Velocity not able to even cap second or third or something, that's what we call an uh-oh, you know. But since they're showing, you know what, we can almost push it to last in, what was it, 5.5 minutes, then they're looking pretty good for this next upcoming round.
Yeah, the big thing here, looking through the logs, I mean, Banny always not going to be on top. He top fragged there with 18. Slemnish sitting next to him with 12. Slemnish was kind of meek inside of Viaduct, but is now stepping up to the plate. I mean, he also spent a lot of time. They kind of sent Banny forward and they left the heavy on the card. It seemed to be their strategy, which, I mean, it's a hard thing to deal with, a 350 heavy fully revved up there, but it's pretty much the top of the board is all red and the bottom is pretty much all blue. Marmaloo also being pretty disappointing. I mean, the big thing for Marmaloo, and this is something that I've seen a lot of soldiers struggle with, is if you're going to be playing, you cannot play like a roamer. And that's the thing that Blaze is an incredibly smart soldier player. He's one of my favorite to watch because just what he does and how he does it, just so well. He doesn't needlessly go in often, and when he does go in, it seems to be the right move. And Marmaloo, you know, as we come out on defense here, that's the thing I want to see out of him, to be able to step up, as he was bottom fragging with only 3. Is, you know, play passively on defense. Don't go in for big plays. Just work more as spam. The more you can just annoy the enemy team, the more work you're going to do. As we get set up here, it's going to be Vipa on Engineer running the level 3s, but a lot of the weapons are going to be taken away. On the bottom of the scoreboard, you guys can see what the pick bans were for this map, but this is what it comes down to. Froyotech wins this round. They will continue on, and well, they're going to win the $1,200, and it should be a great thing, as there's always enjoy some of the trash talking coming on, coming inside of the chat there.
Oh yeah, you gotta love it. You know, it's part of what makes the game great. You know, if you can have a little fun with it. But you know, it's still, despite the smack talk, you know, it's stressful for these teams because this could be the last round of RGL Season 2. So if Froyotech is able to recreate history and do that last 5.5 minute push all over again, Froyotech is going to be so ready to win that gold medal. So we're going to see what Velocity is able to do to stop him.
Yeah, I bet you Velocity's regretting not banning the Fist of Steel, as it's been so effective. And here comes a Banny. Sai going in as well. Did a great job syncing with the Spy as well. Blaze jumping in, but no force coming out. That is 5 players down for Froyotech and only took down the Engineer, and he has a teleporter still up, so he's going to be able to come back up. But you can see Froyotech is already back up. Vipa is still down for another 10 seconds. That's why you do your suicide waves, because there's no real downside. I'm assuming we're going to see Froyotech just pushing here aggressively. They don't have to worry about his sentry gun. Carl is incredibly forward for his team. I'm kind of surprised. He's probably going to get killed here early on. I don't know why he'd be that aggressive. He knows better than that. As Slemnish with those Fists of Steel just continue to work up that card.
Yeah, that's a head scratcher, sigafoo, especially because, the Uber does come out though from Kokijik onto Sai, working their way forward. Now Jarrett and Shamu pushing right back in. They managed to take out Blaze. Arika super forward, not able to get anything done with it, even though Vipa is on just mini sentries here. But, you know, yeah, that's a head scratcher. Anyway, you know, having a heavy protector sniper like we see here on Playground is so strong, because any bombers that come in, you're able to ward them off. Now, Marmalou and Jarrett taking a little bit of pressure forward, trying to get some work done with the Froyotech. Both medics here at 40%.
And Marmalou doing a good job spamming out the enemy combo. He did so much damage on those rockets there because Froyotech was all grouped up. Here comes in Blaze, but he's only got half HP. Jumping in, he just dies, actually falling there at the end. And I believe that's I'm not sure exactly what he's carrying. It's your conch or a buff banner being used right there. And that's going to be able to help them out a little bit, but Cookie Jig does have the uber advantage. Jarrett down incredibly low. Velocity has to start thinking about getting out here, but they're going to try to hold on to this card. Ski's only at 90%. He's dropping everybody around him. It's just Vipa left alive. Ski's down to half HP, running for his life, but no, it's going to be his head being taken off as he gets taken out. Boar with a nice headshot. And now Velocity, I mean, this is, again, it's kind of the same problem they had last time. They're not going to get a good second hold, but the most important thing is they don't lose enough players that they can't get a third out.
Ski's died at 93% as well, and he's just trying to grind out that Uber because they started out pretty even. Now Boar takes on Andrew as well, so this is going to be so much range. Look at Boar, running almost onto the point, taking whatever pot shots he feels like, and then anyone who tries to push him, surprise, you gotta fight Danny and Cookie Jig. They actually do get Boar just for trading out Marmalou. And now Skis is able to work forward, but you gotta watch it, sigafoo, because Cookie Jig still has that Uber.
And here comes in Blaze all the way in onto Skis, gets 2 rockets onto him. Great surfs coming out of Skis. Eric the Spy is still back there as Blaze gets traded out. Eric's now coming in for the enemy team, but Jarrett is on top of that. Cookie Jake got forced out. I believe that was by Vipa as he was down to half HP, and Vipa is still alive. Skis is going to have a little bit of an Uber advantage, but it's going to be hard for them to push out this little corridor as Sai is going over there as well. I think Velocity is going to opt to just back out here and just hold on to their advantage as they don't have Jarrett to try to push this. And they didn't get forward spawns as well, but it doesn't really matter, I guess, since they're going to get forward anyways. Vipa ultimately got found out there, and so he's down for a little bit longer. Now, we'll see what Boar can do as he's looking up at the heavy. Now, Shamu eats a lot of damage, and here comes in Sai as well as Banny. The coordinated jump goes in, and they pick up one. They're going to try to pick up more. Banny goes down. But Skis did not get forced off, and that's what's important for Velocities. They still have that advantage, but Blaze, he's getting into position.
That's a pretty heads-up play coming out of the Froyotech. They know they're 60% disad. They say, you know what, we got a long way to push the cart. We got a long way to our Uber. Let's go in and do something, you know? So they send a couple players forward. Boar also taking out Marmalou with a very nice shot. So here, actually, even Andrew is sort of stuck out forward, and with Boar and Vanny pushing him, Boar, rattling off these headshots, Froyotech is able to make a lot of room, and now even Carl just has to fight Boar head on. And he's doing not a bad job. He takes him down, but he goes down for it. And now look at this. The point is completely free and available for Froyotech just because they were aggressive and wanted it.
Yeah, I mean, they just are consistently winning those DM battles. And this is the thing for Velocities. They have to be smart. You cannot take bad deaths here because of the long respawn waves. I know I get annoyed about it. I know I talk about it, but it's just a fact of truth. And Velocity just needs to play better than what they are right now. Currently, they are even Ubers, as Shimu's just going to get back up, but Vipa now gets traded out here completely alone by himself. Marmalou going down incredibly low. Sai is doing a great job with those pipes. He's fortunately able to get some arrows back up by his team, but Boar is now working in the upper area, takes down Andrew. And now he's going to have complete reign, but Shamu comes up from behind, takes him down. As Uber's going to pop out, it's going to be a little bit better for the red side to pop player, but Jared gets popped down into the pit accidentally. Down he goes, another pit kill in this game in the favor of Froyotech. But they should be able to hold on for now, but here comes the Banny. He hits 2 shots, the medic takes him down. Asai's going to go in on a Carl as he puts up some damage, but now Eric is in the upper area is just harassing Marmalou as he's going to have a hard time taking him down. Soldier v Pyro.
I was so relieved for Skis there. I'm like, oh, he's got Carl as heavy with him. He'll be fine against that scout, but I forgot to look at the little nameplate and see Banny with a 4 coming right at him, so... Now, actually, Eric takes down Marmalou up top, just sort of walks at him a little bit, thanks to the new Pyro flames and everything. Shamu does come and return the frag, but here's what's very important too, sigafoo, is Velocity isn't holding that upper tiles area. They're holding this corner like it's 2011. Giving up that space to Froyotech is going to be really rough for them because they give Froyotech the high ground, they give them sniper sight lines, they give them so much room to even wrap around last.
Oh
Jared
my god.
Goes into the pit again. He's got to take those pit magnets out of his pockets, and then he runs straight into Skis and takes him down. So there's only 4 players left up on the side of Velocity.
And the other big thing is like you see the Soldier Marmalou, he's still running original. I mean, Cookie Jake should die here in the backfield. No, Slamnish is going to be able to save his medic, but I really don't know how much that would have been would be worth in the end, but you know, it's like Black Box is usually what you want to run if you're going to be running an independent soldier on this map to be able to get those extra heals. Slemnish on the cart with the heals, Eric as well. This is going to be a hard cart to just be able to defend. The mini sentry down low as well, as Banny picking up one more frag. Carl's going to be coming up this right-hand side here, but they're just getting gibbed. Easy push for Froyotech here, 6 minutes and 46 seconds. Another fast time. But what we saw out of VoxDei last round, it's definitely doable for them to try to match this.
We gotta hope VoxDei can live up to their literal name here, sigafoo, and have a high velocity towards the last point. This is very scary for them because, like we said, you know, 7 minutes is a good time. Under 6:30 is pretty great. So this is doable for VoxDei, especially from what we saw from them. But, you know, not just one mistake, maybe 2 mistakes or 3 mistakes, and that is going to be the end of their RGL Season 2. So we're going to have to see what adaptations they're able to make, what big plays they're able to pull, how they're able to play around their sniper, and maybe spies if they have some. And hopefully we're going to be able to see a third half here, because this is quite the game we've been seeing.
We'll see what they can do, as right now Froyotech is getting set up.
Mission begins in 10
Looks
seconds.
like they're not going to be running an engineer. Eric is going to be running a spy, which is a little bit... So the spy on the first point isn't that good unless you can get a medic pick, because the respawns are right there, and they're like 5 seconds. Like, there's almost no upside to getting a pick. Like, any pick you get is going to just be bad for you, or is not going to be that good for you, but we'll see, because look at... Like, even if he gets his pick on the cart, he gets one. Okay. Like, but Shimu's going to come back up in 10. Banny goes down for 15. Like, it's not that big of a deal. And Vipa is going to run back to the enemy spawn, but I don't think he realized there's no teleporter.
That's awkward. Maybe he'll just spawn camp Bandy for a little while, kind of play some of the mind games. We got a different win other than a round. Right now, though, Jared gets a little too far forward because Boris says, "We would not like any Girl Scout cookies. Thank you. Please go away." And sends it right back to the respawn. We're now taking out Marmalou and Andrew as well, so it looks like Boar is quite full.
And Vipa is just coming back to the front lines now. I think he's going to go try to spawn camp Boar, as Shimu was able to pick up a frag onto him, but now it's going to be a question of how do they want to work this up. They both have 100% Uber. There's no real reason to hold on to this too much longer, and you don't have to worry about your head being taken off from Boar as they're starting to walk forward. Banny, though, is right to the left-hand side. He snuck up on Jared. He's going to get the force from VoxDei out as Cookie Jake is going to respond. Vipa is going to go for a 1v1 in the backfield onto Boar as Jared's getting just pinned against the wall. Great job out of Slemnish there, popping him up as he's able to keep his life just barely slow. As Andrew picking up a frag onto Boar. Vipa is still there, but that's going to force Froyotech back out with, you know, not too much time left. 5 minutes left in the clock. That's not too bad. About 1:20 for the first point. Not the greatest in the world, but definitely plenty of time to go for the next points.
Now, that's the thing about the first point is, you know, normally for a point, if you lose 1 or 2 players, you can still hold it, of course. But for first, you know, the respawns are so long and you have to cross such a big sight line. Once you lose 1 or 2 players, you're really going to lose some more and then ultimately the point. So Froyotech does opt to head out once they lose about half of their players. But now this does give hill control to VoxDei, which is super important. Viva also getting the backstab onto Blaze is going to give them a good amount of room. But, Slemnish and Boar, of all people, having a little bit of fun on the cart. Well, this isn't maybe optimal. They're buying time, so, you know, you got to give them a little bit of credit.
Yeah, I mean, Slemnish did work there, but ultimately, VoxDei's going to just rotate their combo after they picked up everybody else. And they're just going to go take the cart. Froyotech, you can see they're getting the respawns back up. They're just going to walk back to the third point as VoxDei putting up an incredibly good time so far as Andrew's starting to work his way forward. See if he can pick up anybody who's walking to the third point. Eric is on to the engineer class running level 3s. Does have a level 3 actually up, ready to go. As Slemnish is back spawning. Still going to continue to run the heavy class. As Boar goes down. So that's going to open up for Andrew, though it's not the greatest sightline in the world for Andrew to do. As he gets a headshot so close to Banny. Beautiful job. Jared goes down to the heavy, though. So we'll see if he's going to be able to do anything with this. But Andrew is now on roller coaster, and he can snipe basically for free as a cart's slowly working its way up. No one is forward for Froyotech, so this is just going to go up for free. No one's even going to contest this.
This gun is going to do a lot of work. It's Sire with a very nice pipe onto Marmalou. Right now, Slim is working his way forward and Elbow not able to get too much done. Sai, though, now wants all of Velocity to turn around. Ross back on the cart and takes out Shamu. The Ubers are exchanged. The gun goes down. Jarrett and Carl working there all the way in. Carl walking straight into Elbow, not even afraid of any single player in the server. Now going onto the gun and the demo on the engineer, but, you know, with trying to shoot 3 things at once, didn't quite work. Now we have only Vipo trying to push the cart. Danny remembering that that's the objective, you know, so that's what you're going to be wanting to stop. Blaze coming in as well, actually manages to take out Marmalou. So this is a pretty solid delay here, but it looks like Velocity are going to get that point with about 2:45 left on the clock. And about 20% advantage.
Yes, Cookie Jake's just coming up right now, but 2 minutes and 45 seconds to work into this final point. That is plenty of time. That's at least 2 pushes, maybe even 3 if you play your cards right. The big thing is are they going to be able to take out that Cinch gun? Eric has it set up. Vipa is still going to be on the Spy class. There's no Dispenser blocking the stairwell currently. As Banny comes in, he picks up 1 frag onto Jared, just kind of pops in, says hello, and says goodbye to one of the players, but Carl's saying goodbye to one more as he takes down Slemnish up top in that 1v1. As Vipa, he's getting in position, and he might go for a decloak if Carl can give him a distraction. He gets the stab onto the enemy Demo Man. The level 2 Cinch gun ultimately takes him out, but that's going to be no Demo Man for about 20 seconds as the focus coming onto the Cinch gun. There's no weapons to be able to try to defend that, as Froyotech did ban all of them. And now the upper area is completely in control of Velocities. Are slowly working their way forward. The cart gets defended from Slemnish right now, but a minute 53, and this is looking very good for Velocity.
We have Slemnish going all the way in, taking the fight against Carl. Oh, they traded because Viva comes in at the last second. I'm not really sure what that was all about, but we have a lot of fights going on all over the map. Even though Ski's trying to fight Blaze, medics can't fight soldiers, so Skis gets forced, takes the Uber out onto Andrew. Andrew gets 1 shot for his troubles. Can we get a second shot? No, because Blaze is wrapping from up top. Blaze actually takes out Andrew and gets left at 7 health. Skis is not able to follow up with the with the arrow, excuse me.
Yeah, they need to just be a little bit more coordinated in this. They need to be a little bit slower in the way that they push this. They try to take too much ground too quickly. You just need to take control of areas. You know, they had the game right there. All they needed to do, they had control of upper. Just take your time and control. But you can see Froyotech is now just getting incredibly aggressive here, all the way back to 3rd, and they're doing this. Here comes in the Pyro, going in for a flank play. Eric just messing them up as Skis goes down once again. Slemnish and Cookie Jake just backing up, and wow, just this really was Velocity's round to win here at the end. And well, with their medic just coming back up, Cookie Jake on at 50%, this is going to be tough for them. 30 seconds left, cart rolling backwards. Cookie Jake holding underneath the balcony.
Yeah, Cookie Jake goes down super low. It actually gets taken out by Carl. Slemnish goes down to Viper as well. Is that a Frontier Justice I see? But now Skis is able to work his way forward with a little bit of an advantage, but they're not going to get Uber in time. Eric and Benny so hurt on the tiles, but Vor takes down Skis. Now Jarrett goes down as well. Eric goes down. Andrew goes down. There are effects happening left and right. Banny cleans up the cart. There's 10 seconds left on the clock. Marmalou working his way forward, trying to take the 1v1 against Banny, but it's just, it does happen. Marmalou now pushing the cart forward, but they all go down, and that is it, sigafoo.
GG's come out as Froyotech will take this 2-0 with 3-2 on Viaduct, just barely eking that one out. And I mean, honestly, for as good as Froyotech played it, Velocity was right there in it, so congratulations for Froyotech going back-to-back in seasons. But honestly, this one was even closer than it was last season. And just a great match all around. Before we get to the logs, I just want to once again remind you guys, we will be hosting a free 1-day tournament in January. Go to cup.rgl.gg to get more details on it. Registration is free. It'll be opening up on Friday, and 50% of the teams that enter will win keys. It'll be a great time. So if you want to try out Prolander in a more competitive setting, that's a great way to do it. If you want to try Prolander, check out rgl.gg/pugs. We have almost 1,000 users inside of our Discord with Pugs hosted multiple times a week. It's a lot of fun. We use a custom balanced ELO system, so it doesn't matter if you're one of the best or one of the worst. We get really fun games going on, and it's a great time to try out Prolander, the fast, fresh, fun format. And let's take a look at these logs.
Man, this awesome match has me itching for a pug, but looking at the kills, first and foremost, we have Boar going 21-11 with 462 DPM topping the server. Crucially, that's against Andrew, who's only 10-10 with 100 less DPM. But Boar killed Andrew 5 times. Andrew got only 1 kill onto Boar. So it looks like they are thanking Boar for staving off that push that came from Velocity. That was pretty well structured, but not able to seal the deal in the end.
Yeah, overall, I mean, Carl did a decent job there, but Jarrett really is the one who kind of seemed to go down for his team, only picking up 4 frags, only 5 assists, not that many. Usually if you have low frags, you at least have more assists because you're putting out enough damage. His damage numbers aren't too bad, sitting, I believe, 3rd for the game, but, really, Cookie Jake going down twice to Skis is 6 times. I mean, that's kind of the story both games, just Froyotech doing a good job capitalizing off their Ubers, using Banny to get aggressive, push forward during them, and that really kind of worked it out for them. I mean, really, though, it's like Velocity, they weren't out of this game. They had multiple chances to win in each game if they really just kind of, or they could have played it better in each game, but it just kind of ultimately worked against them. And with Boar stepping up to the plate over Andrew, I mean, that was really the big one, is Andrew was able to kind of step over Boar, but once Boar didn't have a spy up his behind constantly during the game, that really allowed him to wake up and just dominate the game as he top fragged.
Yeah, I think you hit a nail on the head with Jarrett going, unfortunately, 4-16. Seemed like for a lot of this game, he was disconnected from Skis, or, he would go down at weird times. And on the contrary, on the side of Froyotech, there's a lot of strong team play. It was almost like what is the acting thing? It's like, you say yes and, So there's a yes, we won the push. And we're going to get ground, or we're going to go for this pick, or we're going to go for a sack, whatever they do, they always have a plan B, but every person on the team was on board with it. So they were able to play around each other and get a lot of work done. Like even Blaze on 7-16, not exactly the best numbers, but just because of the cohesion from his team, they were always to get it done when it mattered most,
Yeah, that's true. So overall, really good job by both teams. The other thing too is Banny was much less prone in that game. Usually we see him top ranking, and he was only 3rd. So nice job by Velocity to kind of step up the plate. But this is the thing I love to see, is like when you can tell when it's a competitive game, when you see red, blue, red, blue. It's like all the team kind of intermixed there. But ultimately, it's going to be Froyotech coming out on top in this match. But very close match overall. It's what I'd like to see in a grand final. Not one-sided. So always a fun time. As we kind of wrap it up here, any shout-outs you want to give, Rogue?
Oh, man. Shout-outs to Marty and Capsize. Those guys are great. Shout-out to my girlfriend, Lizzie. I also have a shout-out for the Florida Land 2018, happening April 20th to 22nd in Miami, Florida, as a celebration of life for Miggy as well. If you guys are able to tune into that, tickets are coming out soon. And as always, I'll say the biggest shout out to Nicel for doing so much hard work with almost no thanks. So shout out to Nicel, and shout out to you for having me, sigafoo.
Yeah, absolutely. Always got to give some love to our cameraman behind the scenes. Shout out to everybody who's currently in chat, everybody who's able to keep calm. There's some arguing, I guess, going on in there. It's pointless. But either way, guys, thank you so much for coming out here. Again, cup.rgl.gg. There'll be more information coming out about it. But again, it's going to be a free tournament hosted in early January 7th. 1-day cup. It is free to enter, and half the teams will win keys. It's going to be a lot of fun. So if you guys want to try out this format, start to recruit your buddies, start to find 6 other players to play with, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So make sure that you check that out. Thank you, everybody, for coming out here tonight. I'm sigafoo with Rogue to my side, and Nicel is always behind the camera. I hope you had a great time, and we will see you in Season 3, which will be starting up in early 2018. We're not going away. We're coming back stronger and bigger, and I just want to thank everybody, really. Just the season has been great. The pugs have been growing. As I said, we're almost up to over 1,000. It's been really wonderful as we continue to grow here, and people keep doing it. And we'll be actually having a Prolander show match at the Heels for Reels going on this weekend. I believe that's going to be on Twitch TV/CritsCats. So thank you, everybody. Toss a heart under the chat. Love you guys all, and hope to play some more Prolander with you as we get started up for this next season. And I don't have anything else to say. I love you guys, and I'll see you next time.